the fucked up thing about COVID 19 is now hearing about massive numbers of dead people per day. Well, I mean, we're supposed to have been anesthetized to it, as if the last 10 years of undermining democratic expression around the world in violent manners hasn't already conditioned us, right? But the thing that's very disturbing is, what are we worth? If you consider the deaths then to be some sort of recirculation into the economy, what is this telling us about what we're worth? When crime statistics get reported in the media, it has a particular utility in terms of considerations of other people's schemes and what the value of life is in consideration of the perspective they're approaching these reports from. I just yesterday, before 5 o'clock p.m., read a opinion from an attorney general, former attorney general of Texas. It's the thing. When you step into the office, you have the office before you, all those who were the officers before you. Right now, we're in a situation, I said publicly before, I was going to start reviewing the opinions of two of the former attorneys general, both of whom now have another position, one in the state, allegedly, and one in the United States Senate, allegedly. I reviewed the opinion of a former attorney general of Texas, specifically about eminent domain and qualification for eminent domain. I didn't review the second one until after the close of business because I believed it might be a conflict of interest. And the truth of the matter is it was. Not only was it a conflict of interest, but it was incredibly dangerous. Somebody else, though, exercised that option themselves. I didn't. Somebody else did. Apparently, what did they do? Did they peg it to a case that didn't have capital charges? Did they make it a medical claim? Because that's what it sounds like they did. They made it a medical claim. See, this is what is now becoming aware. 21 people, 16 people in Syria, 4 of whom are related to a hospital in a 3-in-1 matrix. The thing is, the 3-in-1 is exactly what the problem was yesterday, which is why I didn't read the second opinion until afterward. Because the one opinion referenced 3 opinions by the other attorney general. So I waited to read the one I was going to read from him until after closed business. Somebody else decided to execute that option. And now it makes me wonder if that specific scenario is connected to a specific instantiation of that pattern. Why? Because of the concern and the issue regarding public domain and the manner of condemning property so that then it can be claimed by the state. And then once it's claimed by the state, well, what does the state do with it? That's exactly what we're dealing with now. So we're talking about a doctor and 3 nurses at a hospital that got condemned to death. Which means, where are they going to resurrect? We're talking about Syria. So we're talking about a war zone. That's insurance. It's not like crime statistics, right? A random shooter who is able to get away without being identified. Well, all of those people, had they died, they would have been condemned to death. And as a victim of crime, would have been within the public domain, would have been, if nothing else, available as public use in reporting of crime statistics and the attendant benefits that the system reaps when there's comparable and requisite investment in the manners that deal with crime, like police. Where is my idea report? See, if you don't have a condemnation of appropriate property so that it can be claimed for public use, then you have rampant corruption within, among, and through the police. You allow the police departments to be used as pass-throughs all the time for contract bidding with the state that ends up being accessed and engaged by private entities, private companies, private corporations. And how do they get the benefits of those state contracts if it's not through recirculation of that which was at one point allowed to be made available for public use? That's what you've been doing. And so your understanding of what this country's worth and what your people are worth is crime on the street, senseless random acts of gun violence, drug overdoses, including drug overdoses of people that are in dilapidated housing, including in abuse of public resources. That's what we're worth. That's what we've been worth this whole time. Your understanding of what is available as property for condemnation is that. Exxon, Chevron, Shell, all of them need to be condemned. Citigroup, AIG, Bank of America, Chase, all of them need to be condemned. All of them. We're not talking about derivatives. We're not talking about risk management. It was never theirs, and it was never yours to take from us by condemning us and then saying that we were allowed to be exploited for their cover-up. There are 16 members of the board of directors of Citigroup. Start there. If you don't, I'm going to understand you're an open conspiracy with the People's Republic of China.